Hey everybody, welcome to our first tying video. I want to make some clarifications to start out. I do not consider myself any kind of an expert tyer. I just simply want to help those who may not know what I know, which may not be that much to some people. I am not a professional tyer, I'm not a signature tyer. I just enjoy it, and being that I work at a fly shop for a fly fishing company, we get a lot of inquiries about just beginning, middle, and end of some different flies and the whole process of tying. And I thought, well, why not help out and give this for the world, because that's just a small sample of many people that may not know what I know, which again isn't all that much. And yes, we got a little bit of a funny theme, tongue-in-cheek going on here with our we have a little bit of a theme going on because I'm a big fantasy guy, especially when it comes to Christian fantasy such as the Lord of the Rings or the Chronicles of Narnia. So you're going to see that in kind of come out in the different variants and stuff that we have here. And by no means am I saying I am creating a new fly, so you can hold off all the silly comments on that because I don't think I invent flies. I will give some variants of some things that I think work, things that I've tried. Today, what we're going to be tying is the Eye of Sauron. And our little phrase that goes with this, the Eye of Sauron, is in dark times, the Eye of Sauron shines. And because everything we do has a theme and a feel and an idea behind it, a mythos, as the ancients used to call them, I want to be clear that I am not saying that Sauron represents light and darkness. As a matter of fact, there's a teaching in Scripture that talks about having a plank in your own eye, and there's also another teacher that kind of coincides and goes hand in hand with it that says that your eye is the window to your soul, and if your eyes are shining bright, well, then your soul is doing well. And this is my paraphrase, of course. But then it says that if you are evil and your soul yet shines, how horrible or how terrible can we possibly be that darkness is producing some form of light? And to me, as I read and watch The Lord of the Rings, Sauron represents that darkness that is inherent in all of us. Possibly the ultimate darkness. In Christian circles, we would call that Lucifer or Satan. And interesting enough, Lucifer actually has a lot to do with illumination and light in that in what it means, as far as I understand. So let's get into tying the Eye of Sauron. And the reason I actually came up with this cute little in dark times, the Eye of Sauron shines, is you'll see that depending on who you talk to, when the water is cloudy and murky, a lot of people tell us that it's good to use a darker fly because it offers more of a contrast to what's going on there. And then some people will tell you, well, you should use something really flashy because it's going to stick out. So what I've done in this fly, incorporated a little bit of both. This is a dark fly that has a cool kind of red look to it, but it has red flash built into it, as well as some black flash. And just to let you know, we'll get into some of the materials. We have Risen's tungsten slotted beads. We're going to do a 4.5 on these. We're going to use Risen Fly Fishing's 9420 barbless hooks in the wide gap and a 10. I want to do these in 6s. You could do these in 6s if you're crazy enough to try them in 14s, but you really need a hook that's 10 and above, I think, to make these jigs really work. For the tail and portion of the body, we are using the Squirrel Zonkers and Pine Black from Wapsi. I'm using just some cool generic black flash, as you'll see. And then some Flashaboo in red for part of the body. Okay. And then I made my own little bit of dubbing out of some Hare's Ear Plus black and some of this Awesome Possum from Wapsi in red. And if you can see it here, this is kind of what I've come up with. I like it because I just wanted a little bit of that feel to it. So a lot of guys will, we got the hook and the vise here, a lot of guys will attempt to poke this guy through the back. You can do that if you want, but I'm not going to do it for this tie. So we're going to start our thread. If you want to build a dam up around here, you can go right ahead and do that, but I don't really think it's necessary. If you keep it pointed down a little bit, that isn't going to poke out anywhere. So I'm going to actually measure from where I want to tie this on to the kind of the bend a little bit more to the hook. Wet my fingers and kind of split it a little bit. I'm going to flip us upside down, okay? And I'm going to get us back there again because I kind of pulled that tight when I broke it off with my finger. Okay, I'll flip it upside down. Take my little split piece here. So here's where that would come in handy, but you don't really need it. As a matter of fact, putting this squirrel tail through the hook is a really, really good way to do this. I'm just doing it this way because I can. Put a couple put a couple slack wraps and then pull it tight, and then I put a couple more in it, and then we're going to flip it back over. And then I'm going to take all this and move it to the back just a little bit and kind of tie a little bit on there. I'm going to take my flash. I'm going to take, I don't know, 3-4 pieces of flash. I think I have 3 or 4 here. I am going to cut them off even. And an easy way to get anything started on a hook is to kind of put it catty corner and then wrap over 1-2 times lightly and keep it taut. And at that point, you're on the hook and you can move forward. And all I'm doing here is wrapping this. You can build the body up if you want here, but it's not really necessary because this is just, well, this is Sauron's eye, as you'll see in some of the photos and maybe get to show you. So I usually go a couple times around the front, a couple times around the back to secure it in, and then we're just going to chop her off there. And you got enough there for probably 3-4 flies at least. So now I'm going to take our black flash. Take, again, a couple 3 pieces of that. And this is kind of some gills, some flash, some whatever you want to call it. It's not really a piece to it. It's just black flash because black and red are cool together, right? So I doubled them over. Then I'm going to double them over again. I'm going to put them around my hook. Or around my, excuse me, I'm going to put them around my thread like this. Okay? And then bring it up and secure that down. And then, you might think I'm crazy, but I like to go. I like to go around it a couple times just to kind of secure it, almost like a parapost, because then it'll lay back once I put a couple more on there, a couple more wraps. Then, you could do this at the end or you can do it now, and I'm going to cut it just a little bit more than the hook shank, or the bend of the hook, okay? Because it's just on there for a little bit of cool looking flash. And then I'm going to make a dubbing loop. And I'll do a video on how to do a dubbing loop as soon as I figure this whole camera thing out. This is kind of new to us, doing these macro videos, because I can't seem to get it overly focused, I guess you could say. Everything's kind of right here. But I have my little my bobbin holder here that you cannot see, that's off camera, and I'm going to put a little half hitch in just to hold it on. I'm going to take my little bobbin twister here, and put a little bit of wax on the thread, okay? And then I'm going to take my dubbing that I made and we're just going to put a few pieces up in here. We want it to be spiky and cool looking, kind of mean looking, right? Because, you know, Sauron is terrible. He's the epitome of evil and tyrannical control. So you put maybe an inch or so of a loop on there, and then we're just going to spin it. And then we're going to wind it on, and as we wind it on, what I do is take a couple, okay, whip my fingers, preen it back. Take a couple, preen it back. And I don't mind if it's a little spiky and even pushing forward, because, well, that's the look I'm going for here. Move that guy out of the way. And then we're simply going to make a couple wraps behind your thread. 1, 2, 3, and then a couple in front of it, and then I always do 2 more behind it. It's just a habit. It's probably not necessary, but I do it anyways. Snip us off, okay? And we're going to put a couple threads in there like that. And then we're going to whip finish this guy. You can put glue on it if you like. Sometimes I do, sometimes I don't. I actually don't have any at the moment. So I put about 100,000 thread wraps on there, and if you want to, you can get your little brush and kind of spike the guy back. You can leave that tail long if you want, or you can cut it off. I usually go about 1.5 times, and then I'll save this and use it for some later stuff. But that's it. That's the Eye of Sauron. And man, jig this thing on a Euro rod, or I mean, technically you could probably throw this and chunk it up and down even on a spinning rod if you want, but this guy will catch fish, and he'll do it in dark times. So hey, if there's something I should do different or better, or you have some questions, you know, jump down in the comment sections and let us know. Like, subscribe if you will. We appreciate that. We try to keep this a little bit of an interactive thing and not all that long. We appreciate your time, and have a great day. And remember, it's not about the destination. It's the journey that makes you.